Hey guys, this is the channel intro. My name is Asian Persuasion 360. As you can see, I'm Asian. So this channel I'm gonna be producing is we'll produce live gameplays usually. Not live, but Black Ops 2. I'm gonna cover a lot of Battlefield upcoming. Battlefield 4. I'll bring some news and I'll do some Let's Plays and review the game. And I'll do some just general gameplays and walkthroughs, and I'll give you guys tips and hints. I found myself a proficient COD player and Battlefield player. Um, yeah, I hope they bring a lot of success to this channel and be successful in producing content. And I hope you guys like my videos, and if you do, subscribe and comment. And I'll contact you, and I'll also be doing giveaways every month. So if I have over 100 subscribers by the end of the month, I will be doing giveaways, and yeah, you'll see more and more. I'm going to be proficient in adding videos, and you'll see a lot of videos. And this is my intro video, so thanks. Peace out.